2023. Before proceeding to the agenda, I'd like to acknowledge that that Ottawa is located on the unceded, unsurrendered territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Host Nation. The peoples of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation have lived on this territory for millennia, and their culture and presence continue to nurture this land. The Ottawa Police Services Board honors the peoples and land of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. In addition, Ottawa is home to approximately 40,000 First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. The Ottawa Police Services Board honors all First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people and their valuable past and present contributions to this land. I also want to note that in the last week, we have observed the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, as well as the day commemorating the missing and murdered Indigenous women. We are currently broadcasting on Zoom and live streaming on YouTube. And given that this meeting is being held electronically, I just want to caution that there is a possibility of technical difficulties. And I will say, I realize that a lot of those come from me. So I'm using a new system today, and I hope it's somewhat more effective than the last system I used. Should we receive any disruptions, I would ask that everyone remain patient as we work to fix the issue and resume the meeting as soon as possible. And I will now proceed with the confirmation of the agenda. So into the record that the Ottawa Police Services Board confirmed the agenda of the 6th October 2023 special meeting. Is the agenda confirmed?
Confirmed.
Thank you. Are there any declarations of interest? So moving forward in our agenda, we have one item of business, which is an update on the strategic planning process and the draft strategic plan. I want to take a few minutes to make a brief presentation of the plan, and then we can go to questions and comments from board members. Rhonda, can you please put up the presentation? So thank you to everyone joining us this morning. The board began this process in collaboration with the service in May of this year. And there's been a lot of churn over the past few years, and this has made it difficult to plan ahead. So this year, this board and this executive command have a real opportunity ahead of us to make progress on the areas that are important to the community and our members. Developing the strategic plan for the service is one of the board's main responsibilities. This plan is meant to serve as a compass for the board and service, providing us with a sense of direction. It's also an opportunity for us to reflect on where we want to be in 3 years. And we're looking forward to finalizing this plan, but with further input from the community. And we want to know from the community, did we get the priorities right? Are we missing anything? And is it clear enough? Once finalized, we will turn the plan over to the service to determine the action items they will take in support of achieving the plan and the metrics they will use to measure project. And now I also want to take a few moments to go over how we got to this point. Could we move to the next slide, please? So as I said, the board started this process in May of this year. We used the summer months to plan our process as well as develop and implement our information gathering strategy. In late August, we had a special meeting to present the findings from our data collection and our consultation efforts. I think many members of the community know that I spent a lot of time, as did the chief, going out to the community to find out what were their priorities and their concerns. And there were clear themes that emerged, such as building trust, strengthening partnerships, and supporting our members. And we used all of these findings to inform the development of the draft plan, which took place over a series of facilitated focus groups where board members met in small groups with members of the executive command. Just want to move to slide 3, please. consultation, and information gathering. As I said before, there was an extensive amount of information gathered to inform the strategic plan. This plan provides an overview of all the different inputs that we have had. We really wanted to ensure that we had both qualitative as well as quantitative information to guide our thinking. On behalf of the board, I want to extend our appreciation to the members of the service who assisted with all the information gathering. This was a critical, albeit laborious step in ensuring that the board understood the current landscape and the context the service is operating in. Again, as I said before, I also want to thank, not quite so fast, Rhonda. I want to thank all those members of the community who assisted in presenting this, in presenting information and in joining with us to provide information and feedback on the plan. Slide 4, please. The board engaged in small, facilitated focus groups to help distill the information and collect this into a clear vision, as well as priority areas and goals. In keeping with the requirements of the Act, the board worked in consultation with Chief Stubbs on the development of the plan. The board wanted to be aspirational without overcommitting to too many priority areas, which would dilute the overall plan. And in the next few slides, I'm going to present what the board and service co-developed. Next slide, please. This is the draft vision for that the board determined. Our existing vision is to be a trusted partner in community safety. We have updated this slightly to a trusted partner in building an inclusive, equitable, safe Ottawa. We decided to build upon and expand the existing vision, recognizing that as a police service, while our primary responsibility may be around community safety, we also have a responsibility toward making Ottawa an inclusive and equitable place to live, work, and play. This vision also helps to situate the role of the police within the city's larger community safety and well-being plan. Next slide. With respect to priority areas, the board and executive had a lot of discussion around the greatest risks and opportunities facing the service and the community with respect to policing services. We were also extremely mindful of the feedback and themes that came up in our surveys as well as in our discussions with stakeholders. With that in mind, we came up with the following 4 areas of focus for the plan. First of all, to build trust through strong partnerships. Secondly, to enhance community safety. Thirdly, to advance and support a resilient, thriving membership. And finally, equity, diversity, and inclusion to strengthen our commitment to human rights. The priority areas are in no particular order. However, I want to mention that we did struggle with how to best capture our commitment to equity, diversity, and inclusion and human rights, as we recognize it both as a priority on its own, as well as something that needs to be embedded within the other priorities and within everything we do. We all agree that the principles of equity, diversity, and inclusion provide an overall foundation for better outcomes, both internally within our operations and externally in how we serve the community. We were worried that by embedding it in the other areas of focus, rather than having just an area of focus dedicated to EDI, it wouldn't be as evident in the plan what a priority it is. We've then since captured it as a standalone area of focus, but welcome stakeholder input on how best to reflect this important area. And now at this time, I'll walk you through the goals for each focus area. This is the next slide. Okay, partnerships and goals. In terms of building trust through partnerships, we developed the following goals. 1.1, support effective service delivery and promote better outcomes by working with partners. 1.2, collect and act on community input. 1.3, demonstrate an increase in communication and transparency around our people, activities, and processes. These areas of focus were a direct result of the community feedback we received. You want to see the services partner, act, and share more about what it is doing. This was something that we heard from the community very strongly. Next slide. Community safety, and the goals for this include, in terms of enhancing community safety, first of all, 2.1, create a policing model that is more responsive to unique community and geographical needs. 2.2, support partners in delivering alternative responses that address root causes of crime and disorder in alignment with the city's community safety and well-being plan. And 2.3, expand the use of technology and data to advance safety. Ottawa is made up of many communities, each with unique needs and unique requests when it comes to policing service. There is no one-size-fits-all policing solution, and moreover, policing is often only one piece of the puzzle when it comes to keeping people safe, and the board recognizes this. We also know that we can improve community safety by better leveraging data and technology. Next slide, please. The back one slide, please. In terms of advancing and supporting a resilient, thriving membership, we developed the following goals. First of all, we have a goal to stabilize the workforce. Secondly, 3.2, investing in OPS member wellness. And 3.3, improving the morale of Ottawa Police Service members and recognize excellent service so that members feel valued. I mentioned this at the start of the presentation. I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation the amount of churn there has been at the Ottawa Police Service in the last few years. It has been a difficult time for members and leadership at the service, and we need to refocus our efforts on our greatest assets, the civilian and sworn members serving this community, day in and day out. Next slide. Equity, diversity, and inclusion. These are the goals. Lastly, and certainly, as I've said, not least, we developed the following goals in support of equity, diversion, and inclusion, and strengthening our commitment to human rights. 4.1, deliver service excellence through equity, diversity, inclusion informed actions that address varied community concerns. 4.2, build trust among Indigenous, 2S LGBTQIA+, Black, faith-based, and additional racialized and marginalized communities through commitment to mutually developed solutions. 4.3, support diversity and inclusion within the workforce by respecting the individual skills and experiences of every employee and providing equitable access to opportunities. And 4.4, to continue a culture change through EDI-informed internal processes, measurements, and best practices. As I mentioned, the board and executive command struggled with how best to reflect priority areas of equity, diversity, and inclusion in this plan. We felt it was a standalone priority area, but we also felt that this was a foundational priority that needed to permeate and be reflected in every other area of focus. In the end, we kept it as its own standalone. However, we welcome further input in this regard, as well as ideas of how we can ensure this goal and purpose of this priority area are properly reflected. Next slide, please. Today, we're tabling the draft strategic plan as we wanted to ensure that there was an opportunity for further consultation with stakeholders on the vision, priority areas, and the goals before finalizing the plan. Following today's meeting, we will be opening up a bilingual survey for community members as well as OPS members to provide input. The survey will remain open until October 16th. I will also be doing some direct consultation with stakeholders to gather feedback. And if your group would like to meet with me regarding this, don't hesitate to contact the board office. After October 16th, the board will be striking a small working group with the executive command to review the additional input and incorporate it into the final plan to be adopted at our November 27th meeting. Once approved, this plan will then be turned over to the service to develop the how in terms of operationalizing the board's direction and measuring process. Final slide. This concludes my presentation. Before opening up the floor to questions and comments from board members, I want to give Chief Stubbs an opportunity for a few words.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair. I do want to thank the board for their collaboration to get us to this point in the development of our strategic plan. My understanding is that there's been an unprecedented level of engagement and effort made by the chair and the board members to connect with both the community, OPS members, and the command team to ensure that the proper consultation was completed before the plan was constructed. The senior team here at the OPS have also spoken with numerous individuals and groups to ensure that we understand the needs of the community. Our discussions with our members within the OPS have also been robust and informative. Through all of this, key themes have surfaced that have formed the priorities within the strategic plan. We look forward to the feedback from the community on the draft plan that the chair just presented. We will then, as noted in the presentation, we'll respond with a number of initiatives to ensure that we have captured the needs of the community and the vision of the board. We know that we have a lot of work ahead of us. Our key crime statistics are going in the wrong direction. Some people's feeling of safety are being questioned. Protests, demonstrations, and major events are front and center most days of the week. And we can see our OPS team is being strained in many different areas throughout the service. But it isn't all negative. We have some incredible partners in the community, and based on my consultations, so many that want to work with us on community safety measures. And as the chair mentioned, our most valuable asset, we have a skilled and passionate team of sworn officers and civilians that work extremely hard every day. This strategic plan and the initiatives and projects that will be developed for all the priorities listed must address the many challenges that confront the community and the police service. We recognize the need to adapt to the ever-changing environment within the city of Ottawa and its surrounding communities. The most significant change will be an initiative that will make links to two of the priorities: building trust through strong partnerships and enhancing community safety. This relates to changing the model in which we deliver our core policing functions. We will make investments in a new district policing model to better serve the unique demands of our suburban, rural, and urban areas, along with the deployment of resources that will address specific issues in the various areas of Ottawa. We will develop a robust communication plan with key stakeholders that will focus on the councillors in each ward. More details of the district model will be discussed in the coming weeks. We also understand the safety concerns being experienced in some parts of the downtown core, such as the Byward Market. We are working with City Hall and other partners to develop a plan that will increase the safety of the area and offer assistance to those that need help. This will include the opening of a neighborhood operations center in the Byward Market, where it will be used for our members to work from and a place for our partners to meet with us to ensure we are aligned on the priority issues in that area. More on that in the coming weeks as well. We want to ensure we are supporting our members. We need to stabilize our workforce with an aggressive hiring strategy. As most have seen, we have presented a 3-year plan that will include hiring 435 sworn officers and 120 civilians over that time. This will allow us to stabilize the service and give an ability to meet the needs of the community and this strategic plan in the coming years. We are also looking at how we can better serve our membership with a review of our wellness directorate to address the needs of our members in a more timely manner. Our new Drive To strategy that has been presented earlier this year will be the cornerstone of our equity, diversity, and inclusion efforts that will strengthen our commitment to human rights, strong relationships with the community, a safe workplace, and a more diverse team within the community. In the next few weeks, the board will be asking residents to review the draft plan and submit any feedback through a new survey that will be launched after this meeting concludes, as the chair has mentioned. I encourage you to review today's draft plan and provide any additional feedback. We'll continue our conversations with residents of Ottawa. I'm continuing my meetings with city councillors, and in fact, I'm doing so later today, meeting with another councillor, and I hope to complete all of those meetings in the coming month. From all that information, we will develop and finalize all the programs and initiatives that support these priorities and direction to ensure that we can deliver on the board's vision for our service. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Chief Stubbs. Do any board members have anything they would like to raise? Member Curry.
Thank you very much. Hope my Wi-Fi is working properly here. I think this is really good work on behalf of all of us. I really appreciated this presentation as well, and the messaging around the challenges with setting up 4 strategic priorities or 3 and embedding EDI. I think that was very well explained, because that is exactly reflective of what we talked about. My one question is the survey in 2 official languages. Yes, French and English, but what if somebody would like to do the survey in a language other than French or English?
It looks like Ms. Ferraro has a response to this. Ms. Ferraro.
Yes, by request, we'll accommodate any sort of language or accessibility needs to ensure everyone can participate.
Wonderful. That was my next question. So that is super helpful. And then I guess, the one thing I would say is, if there was feedback that anything should change, the way that this works is that the survey will be done on the 16th, and then we will have opportunities to reflect on the feedback. So we think we have enough time for all of that.
Ms. Ferraro?
Yes, so we do have the individual who is helping the board facilitate their focus groups will be assisting with the analysis of the survey results. And there will be a summary that will go to a working group in order to refine the plan. So we do feel there's enough time between now and the November meeting to do that.
Okay, thanks. That's great. I look forward to hearing the community's feedback on this draft plan. Thanks.
Member Carr.
Yeah, thank you very much. And thank you, Member Curry, for asking the question about language. Just a follow-up on the question provided by Ms. Ferraro. Well, I appreciate that people can have it translated in the language of the request. Some of the communities that we've been directly consulting with, for example, the Somali community or anything, if we're going to directly seek their input on the survey, I wonder if there's any way to be a little bit more proactive about some of the languages. For example, in my neighborhood, which includes Herongate and Ridgemont, I mean, even the schools translate into Arabic, they translate into Somali, and they translate into Tagalog as part of regular practice when they're sending any school communications, just to increase the uptake. And I'd be interested in having an answer to that question. And I'll just comment, I don't have any further comments on the draft. I know we had a number of sessions and separated out sessions working on this. I found the process quite good, and I can, as Member Curry said, we can see the input that was brought forward in those discussions in the current plan, and I look forward to any revisions that might happen as a result of the community, and just wanted to echo my thanks, but I'll let Ms. Ferraro answer my question on the language.
Ms. Ferraro?
So in terms of languages, if the board would like it automatically and going forward, any sort of public communications automatically translated, we'll just need to know in advance and just come to an agreement on what those key languages are, because we'll just have to build that into timelines as well as budget. So there was a bit of a quick turnaround for this special meeting. I'm not sure we would have had enough time to get all of the languages necessarily translated in time, but we can certainly adjust and get more languages available on the survey if the board would like that.
Perfect, thanks. Maybe that's something we could discuss, because certainly we've seen, especially, it's worrisome this year when we see the rise in hate crimes against certain communities, and we see that commitment to EDI reflected throughout the entire plan now. I certainly think we should take into consideration making an extra effort to reach out. So I'm not sure how to have that discussion, but would be interested in any input anyone would have.
I'm happy to take that offline with the board as well.
Okay, that's great.
and seek input, and then I can follow up accordingly.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments, members of the board? Vice Chair Falcarani.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And a lot of work has gone on into this strategic plan, and I think it's a very good document. The one comment that I do have is it's also important not to lose sight of the South facility and the importance that will have over the next 3 years. So I hope some of that consultation will speak to that, and the police service will also speak to that. It goes, I think it would fit into sort of enhancing community safety in the model to ensure that we have adequate services to a growing area of the city, and also member thriving with appropriate office and workspace. So I think that's another priority that is not necessarily captured in words in here or actions, but I think as we consult and the service wants to speak to it in the coming days and weeks, that would be helpful.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments, members of the board? Okay, seeing none, I ask for your passing that the Ottawa Police Services Board receive and table the draft strategic plan for the Ottawa Police Service to be considered at the board meeting on 27 November 2023. Is the item carried?
Carried.
Carried.
Is there any other business? With no other business, our next regular meeting will be on October 23rd, 2023. Can I please have a motion for adjournment? Thank you very much. Have a good day and happy Thanksgiving.